Hello everybody, Cyan Link here with a knife review. You'll notice the different angle, and that's trying something new, especially since it's a different kind of knife. Before I get to that, I'd like to recap the good old Emersons I reviewed. When I talked about the price on that video, a YouTube user by the name of Skull Crusher pointed out that the steel is in fact 154 cm, and part of the reason for the high price is the almost no questions asked warranty. You can take this apart, drop it, mess it up, and he'll still fix it for you. So, appreciate it, Skull Crusher, for calling me out on the fact that I don't do as much research as I like to think I do. Alright, another one. Good old Cobra Weave 50 cord bracelet is still fitting very nicely. And of course, as you see from the title, the knife I want to talk about is my butterfly knife. This is a Benchmade Model 51 Morpho, and it is very nice. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to do a couple moves towards the end of the video, as well as reasons for these things being illegal. But for starters, let's just talk about the knife. We have a single-edged butterfly knife. Blade is 4.25 inches long, made out of D2 tool steel, which gives it a very nice shine and helps it hold an edge very well. The handles are about 4.75 inches long, G10 scales with anodized jeweled titanium inlays, making this a very beautiful knife. And that's how you're going to find most butterfly knives these days. They've been largely made illegal, which I'm going to talk about a little bit, but modern day butterfly knives, partially due to their legality and partially because people do a lot of tricks with these, in case you didn't know. They're designed to be very beautiful looking, such as this one, and they're also designed to be very easy to do tricks with. So, that's basically how you're going to find most butterfly knives. And this one flips very well. I understand, unfortunately, I didn't come into the knife scene early enough to get a 42, which is like the butterfly knife as I understand it. But I understand this one's a little bit more on the light side compared to the 42, and that extra weight helps you get the proper momentum to do the tricks really quickly. I mean, you can still do some pretty cool tricks with this, which I have. That being said, I don't get too advanced. Back in November 2011, I messed up a trick and sliced into my finger. And to this day, keep in mind 2 years later, if it's cold out, it'll still ache when I start to move it around a lot. So I really don't mess around with these anymore. If you want to get into it, fine. But I'm sure I don't have to tell you this, but you are going to cut yourself at some point. What's nice about this particular one, besides how beautiful it looks, is the latching mechanism. This is a standard butterfly knife latching mechanism, but all you do is squeeze the handles together, it automatically pops out, and that spring also helps it stay out of between the handles, whereas a cheaper one, you go to do a trick, and you come up and the latch has gone between the handles and you wind up doing something like this and looking like an idiot. On the other hand, when you have the knife open like so and you actually lock it, that won't squeeze. There's a little latch in there that holds it in place. You got to push it up. That helps if you're using the knife, keeping it open and the handle secure while you're cutting with it, if you're going to do something like that. But really, this, to be honest, this is not a tool. The handles are not really strong enough to warrant serious work, which then brings me into the laws. We set this down, adjust you guys a little bit. Alright. The reason why these things are illegal, supposedly. Number one, they are sharp on both sides. Complete bullshit. As you can see, this is not sharp on both sides, and most are not going to be. If you do a simple trick, oh my god, I just sliced my fucking finger open. So that is outright lie. I mean, I've seen a couple be double-edged, but you don't really want to be doing tricks with those. Number two, it can be easily opened with one hand, which I so obviously cannot do with any other knife that I own at all. So what are the real reasons why these are illegal. Well, number one, doing this is scary. And I really kind of hate that kind of bullshit. Same reasoning behind the assault weapons ban. Because it looks scary. And just absolute stupidity, in my opinion. Can't really understand that. And that also comes into play with movies, often portraying these as being used by gang members to intimidate people by doing tricks with them. And also, I gotta be honest, the law is kind of racist because these knives are, you know, pretty popular among Latino and Filipino cultures, and therefore have been used by like cartel and stuff like that. So there's a real reason. Stupidity and racism. And that's not right. Now, I'm going to be a little bit fair and say that most of these laws came out back in like the 60s. And I do understand that knives and how they're built and used have come a long way since then. I mean, that's officially 50 years ago. Maybe 45. I think somewhere around 1968 the laws came out, if I remember correctly. So yeah, maybe back then a butterfly knife really was very hardcore, one of the strongest locking mechanisms and one of the fastest to open. But modern day knives, really not the case. And that also plays into the fact that most of these are designed simply for flipping and for show rather than for actual use. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can use this knife, but why would you want to when I can just use my good old Griptilian that's specifically designed to be used for all kinds of stuff like that. So let's get into tricks. It's called flipping. And basically people will do all kinds of tricks with these knives. Some of them are really cool. If you want to learn a whole bunch of moves, I'd like to point you to the guy that taught me some when I was, you know, getting into it, which his name's Calvin Nation. I'll put his YouTube channel name up on the screen. But let me zoom you guys back out here. There's a couple moves that you can safely perform without messing yourself up. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple of them myself. First one is going to be a simple, I forget what it's called, but you're just doing that. All you're doing is you're going to let, and very important, I should have mentioned this earlier, but with a butterfly knife you have the safe handle, which is where the blade, well, the edge is dull, where you have the spine, and then you have the bite handle, which is where the edge is. And as you can see, if I were to try to do a trick, there's the sharp end, and I will cut myself if I flip that onto my hand. So you want to keep, on all these tricks, you want to make sure you're holding the safe handle, which usually is the one without the latch on it. Although I have seen some break that rule, so be cautious and make sure you know what you're doing. Now that I've gotten that out the way, you're going to drop the bite handle. And at the same time, you're going to lift your thumb and you're going to use, like, swing your hand to get momentum to bring that up into your hand. And you can do the same thing when closing. Just drop the bite handle, catch it at the top. The next one is going to be probably the first thing anyone does with the butterfly knife, is this. It looks very cool, very tricky, but still easy to do. What you're doing is you are pulling out the knife and getting it into this position. As it's coming up, you're going to twist it in your fingers like so. So it's going back and forth. So it's going to wind up like so, and then you're just continuing the motion to flick it back, going ahead and opening your hand to catch that handle. And once again, you can do the same thing to close it. So we try to do this. I'm just trying to zoom out a little bit more. This is really hurting my arm. Try to do this as slowly as possible. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's how that's going to look. The next one, which is actually one of my favorites that I still do, is actually a move from the Spy in Team Fortress 2. Very easy to do, very cool looking. And this is kind of similar to the last one, but reversed. What we're going to do is we're going to let go ahead and let go, and we're going to, not like that, swing the blade and the bite handle over your wrist like that. So that, and then go ahead and flick up and catch that handle in your hand. Do the same thing again to close the knife. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Alright, the last move I'm going to show you is a way to take the knife from a normal grip into what is called an Icepick grip, like so. And it's going to look like this. Looks, once again, looks very cool, very fun to do to impress people. So, from a standard open position, we're going to flick the knife onto the back of our hand, once again making sure we're holding the safe handle. Then we're going to, see how I'm going to explain that. We're going to go around and basically do a reverse of what we did in this move, which is swing it, and we're going to wind up with our finger between the spine of the blade and the safe handle. From there we're going to place our thumb on the outside of the safe handle, and we're going to flick the bite handle is going to come around, and we're going to catch it in our fingers. This one you cannot use to close, but it's still a lot of fun to do. We once again try to do this move as slowly as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I keep failing that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and that's pretty much the list of moves that I feel comfortable doing after basically causing nerve damage in my finger. If you want more, once again, head over to Calvin Nation's channel. I think he has something like 70 videos on how to do various moves, including some really advanced stuff. I don't have another one. If you're worried about cutting yourself but still want to try some things out, they do make trainer knives, which basically are dull and are made out of really crappy steel that you really couldn't make something sharp out of. You can get anything from Bear & Sons for about 20 bucks all the way up to like a Benchmade one that's going to be around like 250. And speaking of price, what is the Benchmade website price of this particular knife? And that would be $270. Considering how beautiful it is and what it's made out of, not too upset about it versus the Emerson's, which I had a couple issues with. That being said, what would I use this knife for? Definitely not for self-defense. I don't have a whole lot of faith in a knife where if in the middle of a knife fight, if I drop it, suddenly I'm, playing around doing this. Not so much for work due to its intricate looks, as well as, well, it just doesn't make any sense to use a knife like this for stuff like that. Definitely for flipping if you want to get into that kind of stuff, and definitely as a collector's item. As I've said many times during this review, this knife is absolutely gorgeous. And definitely looking forward to keeping it around for a long time. That should be about it. I'm Cyan Link. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a nice day.